Assalamu alaikum all. So today I'm going to be talking about why I listen a lot in my target language. I was kind of talking a bit about this before, but I saw a really great video by Matt V Japan. He's like a person that knows a few languages. Did a really good detailed video about this, and I'll definitely make sure to have a link to that in the description. But I just want to talk about some of the main things that I've learned about that. And and one of the things I always want to do is try and make learning languages easy and fun and as much as possible, because in the past I've kind of dropped out of languages because they just got too much and just too tricky and couldn't get around to it. So it's very important to make sure that I do keep it fun, and by listening to the language, that's something that can definitely be made fun, and I've definitely found fun ways of doing that I'm going to share today. So, Assalamu alaikum. On this channel, I share my journey learning languages as a Muslim by sharing the best tips. Now, first of all, I just want to start right at the beginning. What do I mean by listening to the target language? So in my case, if I'm trying to learn French, so French is the target language, then I would be watching French YouTube, French Netflix, and then I'll put the subtitles on in the French language and just kind of watch it and kind of see the two. There's another key important thing, is something that really helps, is using a tool, something that I found recently called Language Reactor, that I'll talk about going forward, that kind of translates bits of the subtitles for you when you kind of hover over them or link or click on them. It's really useful. I'll kind of talk a bit about that below, but yeah, essentially what it is just watching the language video. So that's whether YouTube or Netflix, just having the subtitles as you're watching it. When you see certain words, just kind of hover over them and just click on them and see what that particular word means. And kind of, it's just about listening and watching as much as possible. Now, why is listening important? Now, one of the main things is that your brain just needs to get used to listening to that target language, especially if it's a language you don't use that much. Your brain needs to kind of just process it, get used to it. It just needs to get used to hearing someone say something in that specific language. And generally, the way you want to do that is by listening and watching TV shows and things like that as much as possible. And essentially, what it is about is just exposure. So getting your brain exposed to hearing that language. Essentially, if you think about fluency, what is fluency? Fluency is when you hear something, you can translate it like without almost thinking about it, like it happens instantly. So that's essentially what kind of fluency is. So, I speak English, and when I hear English, I can translate it straight away. I understand it really quick. I know what's going on. So, that's what fluency is all about. So by listening to the language, I want to kind of build up that kind of skill, or kind of probably a better word I like to use is build up that muscle. So the more I use that muscle, the more it's going to help me, the more I'm going to understand the particular language. Now, what I also want to talk about is that the brain needs to be able to identify words that sound the same, but mean different things. Now, this is something that Matt V Japan talks about in his video a lot as well. So these are words that are kind of known as homophones. So like in English, there's like loads of examples. If you look at the word flu, you have flu as in flying, you've got flu as in the illness, and then you've got flu as in I think you use it in gas boilers, or I think there might be a musical instrument or something like that. But that's the same word that can be used in different contexts and mean different things. And in French is a really good example, which is ou. My pronunciation is pretty bad, but like the first two, or and ou, means at, and then the last word ou means water. So it's about your brain being able to understand and decipher these sort of things. Another thing is that the brain needs to be able to understand the context of the word. So if you look at a word like, say, bat, so if you go to a cricket game, that can mean like a cricket bat. You kind of understand that. If someone just says, I used a bat to hit the ball. Whereas if you go to a cave, you might say, look, I've seen a bat. Now, in that case, you're not talking about seeing a cricket bat. You're seeing one of those bats that stay upside down, like in Batman, for example. So it's important to kind of understand those kind of contexts. And essentially, it's all about building comprehension. So the more words you're exposed to, the more you're kind of getting into, the more that you want to understand. That's the key thing. It's about understanding as well. It's not necessarily about talking or listening, it's about getting all that input to be able to understand. And also, when we do speak a language, certain things we do quite differently. And this is something really good about the video that Matt V Japan did. Really awesome video. And two of the main things that I got out of that is that we sort of mix up words. So we kind of blend words together when we're saying in a sentence. So for example, in English, you may say I'm gonna instead of I'm going to, just because it's shorter, it's smoother, it's quicker. And that's what we kind of do in English, but it also happens in other languages as well. So French, Arabic, or what have you. So it's important for us to kind of listen to that and kind of pick those things out. Now I'm still kind of in my early stages, still haven't quite got to that level. But yeah, it's definitely something, I want to do. Another thing we do is when we're talking as well, is like we drop letters when we're talking as well. So for example, in English, there's a good example. Instead of saying next door, we'll say next door. So we drop the T. So again, there's all these kind of little subtleties that, like, if you're an English speaker or whatever your native language is, be it Arabic, Bengali, like Hindi, whatever it is, there's these things that you do like probably every day, all the time, that you're just not aware of. But in a target language, it's something that you'll pick up and you need to kind of understand. And yeah, it's really important to listen to the target language like a lot, really. So we want to kind of do it as much as possible. And it's something that will take time. We do need to listen so that we can pick up these skills. So it's really important to keep it fun. And this is a really big concept for me when I'm learning a language. I want to keep it fun so I don't then end up dropping the language and thinking, oh my gosh, I couldn't do it, or just kind of beat myself up about it. So find content that I like. For example, I love food. So, I was looking at a video about French cheese. I love watching them making it, talking about it. And then I had the French subtitles on. And then I would kind of click on particular words every now and then just to kind of understand what that means. It's amazing how much you can kind of pick up like that. And I found a really good tool recently called Language Reactor. I'll make sure to have a link to that. It's kind of free to use. It's amazing. It just kind of shows you subtitles on YouTube and Netflix, and you can rewind, forward, you can click on particular words. It works really smoothly. I spoke before about a tool called Reverso, but I really like this tool. It works really well. Unfortunately, I don't think it works that great with Arabic at the moment, but yeah, that's something I'll have to kind of keep an eye out. So yeah, I just want to say assalamu alaikum everyone. Thanks for watching. If you've got any benefit out of this video, please hit that like button. Assalamu alaikum.